Good night, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jocelyn. I'm glad to be with you guys tonight. I'm going to give it about 1 minute to get a couple others time to join in. How are you guys doing on this lovely Friday evening? It's been a hot one today, you guys. Good evening, good evening. Say hello. Hello, Sister Kim. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you. You guys, please like and share. Say hello, say good night, say greetings. I do need your interaction. It'll be wonderful to have your feedback. That gives me encouragement and also lets me know I'm connecting with you beautiful people tonight. Yes, invite some loved ones and some friends, someone who could use an encouraging word, someone you've been telling about our church and they've yet to come visit. Share this with them. Invite them to join in. How's everyone doing tonight? Hello, Sister Priscilla. Good evening. Good night. Thank you for tuning in. It is third Friday, May 20th. You guys, we are almost to the halfway point of 2022 of our year. Hello, Sister Brady. Hello, Sister Kentisha and Sister Christina. Greetings, greetings. I'm so glad you guys have joined us tonight. Please share, please like, send your hearts, please comment. Feel free to chime in as I go along. Share this with loved ones and those who may need an encouraging word. Come on in. Well, my name is Jocelyn Charles. I am a member of Pathway of Life Church, and I am honored to be here tonight. I'm very grateful to be asked to speak and serve in this capacity. I am so glad each of you are joined in. Again, like, share, invite loved ones. Please do so. We want to touch lives, and we want to encourage people to engage with our Facebook page right here on Pathway of Life Church, also on YouTube. So to our first-time viewers who may be tuning in for the first time, welcome to Pathway of Life Church Bible Study Friday night. We go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. And we're live here on this Pathway of Life Facebook page and our YouTube page. We also go live on Sundays at 10 a.m. We have service in person as well. So to those of you who are looking to connect with the church, you may not be ready to commit to joining, but you may just need to connect and interact with people, have fellowship. Some of us are dealing with loneliness and depression, and it's getting tough out there. I think we can all, agree on that. With inflation, prices going up, some of us don't know what we're going to do next, but just know you have a family right here at Pathway, and we would love for you to join us on Sundays if you are local and can join in and be in person and just need to connect. Come as you are. Please bring your family if you have a family. We have services for all of the family, the entire family, from nursery, preschool, kindergarten. They have their own classes, and we have a separate class for all of our elementary age students. And we would love to connect. We have awesome leaders in those areas, as well as our teens. Yes, we have something special for our youth. Every second and fourth Sunday at 9 a.m., our youth leaders provide breakfast and Bible service for our youth. It's just an opportunity to connect. And so our youth can share some of their concerns in the world, and so they can connect with one another. We know that times are interesting, and we are all entering into a new season of life post pandemic. We're coming out of this pandemic and everything is new. We're never going back to the way things were. And we're all affected, but our teens are especially affected. So that is a special time set aside for them to connect, and we feed them. So you don't have to worry about, just get them out of bed, let them roll over, put on whatever they're going to put on, and get them there. 9 a.m. It does start 1 hour earlier than service, but please don't let that discourage you. Drop them off, go run an errand, go grab some groceries and come back. All right. So we have something for the entire family, from the little bitty babies all the way up to grandparents and great grandparents, our elders. We love them as well. We would love to connect with you. And we have wonderful pastors. I want to give a shout out to our lead pastor, Pastor Kelly James, and his beautiful wife, Sister Holly James. Also to our pastor of operations, Pastor Ricardo Miller, and his beautiful wife, Sister Karen Miller. Thank you for allowing me to speak in this space and serve and trusting me in this space. I'm very grateful to be here. I do not take it for granted. And see who's all on. Some more people have joined on. Sister Altrice, good evening. Hello, Sister Linda. It's always a pleasure to see you joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and feel free to comment. I'm going to do my best to be better with focusing on the comment section. Sometimes when I get started, I'm just focusing on what I have to share, but I am going to put forth the effort to get better at that, because I do appreciate the feedback and the comments. I do go back and read them, but I want to interact while we're all live. Again, thank you. Hello, Sister Patricia Jones. It's good seeing you on here. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jocelyn Charles, and I'm here to bring a lesson on James chapter 3. But before I do so, I will say a quick little prayer. So give me one moment to do that. Dear God, I thank you for this opportunity to speak to our brothers and sisters. I pray, Lord, that you use me to bring your word, God, to be a blessing to others. Let not my will be done, but let your will be done, Father God, in bringing forth this word to connect with others and to enlighten others and encourage them, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Hello, Sister Dana. It's good seeing you. Good seeing you. Hello, 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 and good night. Blessings and love to each and every one of you who's tuning in tonight, and those who will watch this live later on. So I'm given a task to talk about James chapter 3. And when I was reading over this chapter, I was like, why did he give me this chapter? But it's all good. You know how sometimes you're studying for something and it kind of convicts you, or, you know, you're one of those people that's walking through that thing and you're like, all right. But this, you'll see what I'm talking about as I get started. And so in James chapter 3, James was focusing on our maturity in teaching, the power of our words, and the power of godly wisdom. Yes, yes. Hello, Sister Shaquana. Thank you for joining in. Please like, share, and invite some friends, family, and loved ones. I encourage each of you to do so. So I am going to break this down and then try to do a quick summary, because as I got to the end, I had a revelation. Something came to me. So I'm going to start off. Again, we're reading out of the book of James chapter 3. And I'm going to break this down, and I'm going to start off with verse 1 and 2 about the warning to teachers that James gave. And he said, my brothers and sisters, most of you shouldn't want to be teachers. You know that those of us who teach will be held more accountable. All of us get tripped up in many ways. Suppose someone is never wrong in what he says, then he's a perfect man. He is able to keep his whole body under control. Okay, well, we know that there's no perfect man, and because he said we all get tripped up, right? We are all called to teach. Sharing the gospel is one of the many ways that we show love to our brothers and sisters, right? But he is being specific to those who use teaching as a profession, whether you be a preacher, bishop, evangelist, prophetess. Okay, you get where I'm going with that. Or you could be a teacher of education, or you could be a life coach, or you could be a psychologist. Anyone who is a teacher on that level, where they're held at high regard, they're held with a lot of respect, and they also have authority, right? And so when they teach, our elders tell us sometimes practice what you preach, right? But we're human, and sometimes we still trip up. But we have to be mindful and be cautious, because yes, we do all have faults, and sometimes our faults can undermine the message of God, or the lesson, or the knowledge that we're sharing and teaching, because we are imperfect people teaching to imperfect people. So when our faults are revealed, when we are tripped up, you just got to be ready to take that lashing and the ridicule. It is going to come. So he's just giving a caution. James is just giving a caution, saying, hey, you're going to step in this role, and you're going to walk in this role as a teacher, as a minister, as an educator, as a life coach, any of those things, that positions that are held in life and a high regard. Be cautious, be ready, because you have faults, and sometimes they will be revealed, and you're imperfect, teaching to imperfect people. And so not everybody is going to give you that grace when your faults are revealed, right? And so he's just giving a warning, he's giving a heads up that those are things we need to be mindful of. And again, we are all teachers. Don't let that discourage you from sharing, teaching what you know is right, especially when it comes to the gospel, when it comes to morals, when it comes to how we treat one another. Don't let that discourage you from being right. God doesn't expect us to be perfect in order for him to use us. We all know that, right? But sometimes we still shy away from doing the will of God, from spreading the gospel, from teaching, from encouraging somebody else, because we know our life isn't perfect, or we're going through a difficult season. So we stay mum, we keep our mouth shut when we still could be blessing someone. Not everyone is going to judge you that way. Some people are forgiving. Some people are very understanding that what you're saying is right, even though you may be imperfect, your life isn't perfect. We don't always make the right decisions, but the advice and the information that you're sharing, the lesson that you're teaching, the knowledge that you're putting out there is still valuable. So don't let that discourage you, because you are sitting here. We're here to bless people. We all have the capacity to teach. We're all expected to share our knowledge and our wisdom, right? Because it blesses the people. And how many times let's say the imperfect teacher, preacher, and pastors are teaching the imperfect people. I hit that point already, right? But how many times have preachers and pastors, how many times have you heard them saying, I'm speaking to myself, I'm preaching to myself? That's what, as I was going through this lesson, I was like, okay, this hits home, because it is the truth. It's so very natural. We know what's right. We know the gospel. We know the lesson. We have the knowledge. We know how to do certain things. We know how to encourage people. We know what people need. People need what we need. Yet we still in doing so, in carrying out that mission and giving that lesson and teaching whatever that course is, in coaching someone through their struggles, or psychology, or when preaching the word, we feel sometimes it's true. We're speaking to ourselves. A lot of times pastors end up speaking through their own experience when speaking and teaching the congregation. We're all human. We don't have it all together. We're not perfect, but that doesn't mean we don't strive to walk in our holiness. But in that, it's just, it goes round and round, and being the teacher and then being the receiver or the one who is being taught. We should be kind and forgiving and understanding, because none of us are perfect and have it all together. Some of us are just bold enough to walk in God's will, to do the teaching, to answer the calling, to do the work, because He don't call the perfect, right? He wants to use each and every one of us. It's just those who are willing to step up and do the work and willing to take the ridicule. James is just saying, be cautious. Be cautious. Absolutely. Oh, yes. Hello, Sister Gail. Thank you for joining. It's good seeing you. It's good seeing you. So I'm going to go right on into verses 3 through 6, speaking on the power of the tongue. And James said, we put a bit in the mouth of a horse to make it obey us. We can control the animal with it. And how about ships? They are very big. They are driven along by strong winds, but they are steered by a very small rudder. It makes them go where the captain wants it to go. In the same way, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it brags a lot. Think about how a small spark can set a big forest on fire. The tongue is also a fire. The tongue is the most evil part of the body. It pollutes the whole person. It sets a person's whole way of life on fire. The tongue is set on fire by hell. It's strong, but we all know it's true. We all know it's true. We all either know someone or we have been there before, where our mouth has gotten us in hot trouble or started a lot of mess. I want to start with the tongue set the body on fire by hell. What does that mean? I took that to mean by ignorance, by jealousy, by envy, lust, insecurities, offense, unforgiveness, greed, ego, fear, you name it. It goes on and on. It set the body on fire by hell, the tongue, and those are the things that contributes to that hell. Nothing else has destroyed marriages, ruined friendships, relationships with family members, with our children. How many relationships have been ruined with our children and those that you know? And even if it hadn't hit your household, that's a blessing. Just by the way they talk to their children, and vice versa, how you talk to your sister, or how or how you talk about that friend, or we're not going to even touch marriages. That's a whole counseling session, because we know emotions get involved there, and we can just lash out in such an evil and nasty way, right? And how many wars have been started by the untamed tongue? I mean, it will wreck your whole life, and has wrecked the world, and has the ability to wreck the world. It can just cause turmoil and affect us all, right? Even if it's not our own words, the words of someone else can affect the rest of us, depending on their authority, their power, how they rule, how they reign. We know that to be true, right? We have to be very careful in that aspect. Yet it is so capable of doing great things. We can use our tongue to be a blessing, right? That's right, Sister Linda. The tongue is untamed because we are imperfect people trying to control this little muscle, and we fail. We fail so many times. We fail so many times and cause more harm than good. But it has the capacity of doing great good. As powerful as the tongue can be to produce harm, we must realize that the opposite is also true. We can be a blessing. We can speak positive words. Though it can accomplish a great good, the same thing applies online, through devices, through, we're living in a new time. Everything will have to be said and rolled off our tongue, right? Those of us who get behind our devices, our phones, our laptops, our tablets, and the things that we post, the opinions. Everybody's so opinionated. We all post a lot, and some of us do rather, and we post our opinion and our thoughts, and there's sometimes we don't stop to think about who it may affect, and who it can hurt. And or we take out, or we feel like we're in a safe place, but we really don't even think how many people are exposed to what we're saying and what we're putting out there, or how harmful it is to other, or how offensive it can be, because it may be our truth or our opinion or our experience. It's one thing to share, but let's be mindful on our delivery. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes the delivery makes a world of difference on how we put it out there and how we share it. Um, I do get it. We want to express ourselves, and it is easy to get the tapping on that phone. It is easy. It's easy to see a reel flow through our feed, and we agree with that. And it could be a little jazzy. It could be a little sharp. It could be a little harsh. I mean, like really throwing elbows. And you may agree with that sentiment, and you just want, you like share, boom. Okay, and before you know it, you put it out there, right? And so it's the same difference. We can use this tool to be a blessing. We can, share positive messages, messages of love, messages of encouragement. So whether it's through your tongue or through your device, we should be mindful of what how we use it. And so let's see what else I have here. We praise our Lord and Father. I'm going to verses 9 through 11. We praise our Lord and Father with it. We curse men who are made in God's likeness with it, our tongue. Praising and cursing come out of the same mouth, my brothers. These things should not be this way. Does a spring pour out sweet and bitter water from the same opening? Let's see. Yes, can fresh and salt water flow from the same spring? Can a fig tree bear olives? Can a grapevine bear figs? Of course not. And can saltwater spring produce? A saltwater spring can't produce fresh water. So that goes to remembering who you are. Let's be mindful of, let's not contradict our greatness that we're made of, or the likeness we're made of. And that takes me into the next portion. But before I do so, I just want to put emphasis on that. Miss Casey, hello, Miss Casey. Harsh words with a sweet approach is more palatable. It's true. The truth with a sweet approach is more palatable, because sometimes we've all heard someone say, I'm just keeping it real. But they keeping it real. They throwing blades and switchblades and swords. And it's just like, really, like, there's a certain thing with the truth that is like, ouch. Ooh, okay, all right. But because sometimes the truth will get your attention. The truth will set you free. The truth will heal you once we accept that. I think I posted something like that earlier this week. The truth, we should grow in knowing that the truth heals, but the delivery does make a difference. Keeping it real doesn't mean we have to be just crass, just harsh, just ugly with it, and in our expression and our delivery. You could be loving and keeping it real. You could be kind and keeping it real. You could show that you care about your sister or your brother or your child or your sibling or your mother and keeping it real. Even if you are coming from a place of offense and you want to express how that hurt you, or express how whatever it is, or someone is out of line and you want to call them out on it. You don't have to be nasty to call them out on it. Yeah, keeping it real means, yes, it does need to be addressed, right? We all been there. It does need to be addressed, but we could do things in a loving way. Think about Jesus. We could do things in a loving way. He taught us how to walk. He taught us how to treat one another, and how not to get caught up in that mess, right? So our delivery does make a difference. Yes, yes. And so going on to I'm going to go to verses 13 through going to 17 and 18. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is pure. No, I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna talk about the two kinds of wisdom, right? So there are two kinds of wisdom that James speak about in this chapter, starting at verse 13. And if any of you wise and understanding, are any of you wise and understanding, you should show it by living a good life. Wise people aren't proud when they do good works. But suppose your hearts are jealous and bitter. Suppose you are concerned only about getting ahead. Don't brag about it. Don't say no to the truth. Wisdom like wisdom like that doesn't come down from heaven. It belongs to the earth. It doesn't come from the Holy Spirit. It comes from the devil. Are you jealous? Are you concerned only about getting ahead? Then your life will be a mess. You will be doing all kinds of evil things. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is pure. That's the most important thing about it. And that's not all. It also loves peace. It thinks about others. It obeys. It is full of mercy and good fruit. It is fair. It doesn't pretend to be what it is not. Those who make peace should plant peace like a seed. If they do, it will produce a crop of right living. Yes, it will produce a crop of right living. In Philippians 4, verses 8 through 9, we're told, whatsoever things are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. These are the teachings of Jesus Christ. He tells us if we think of these things, the God of peace shall be with us, right? That is the true living. That's the living true wisdom, right? The wisdom that's going to bless, the wisdom that's going to nurture. Because a lot of us have knowledge, but without wisdom on how to use that knowledge, you're just not gonna bless nobody. It's just gonna be on the surface. The knowledge can be of the earth, but the wisdom is that holy thing, right? So the wisdom gives it power. The wisdom gives it power. So we must remind ourselves of the likeness in which we are created, in the likeness of God. We have to remember our identity. We have to cultivate our hearts with righteousness. We have to remind ourselves of our holiness. If we're made in His likeness, we're holy, and we seem to forget that through our times of imperfections and when we're not feeling good about ourselves. We must be forgiven to ourselves. That's one of the highest forms of self-love. We are simply, when we're forgiven to ourselves, when we remember our holiness and our righteousness is cultivated in our hearts, and when we are kinder and truer and good to ourselves, we treat other people better. It's just usually how you treat someone, how someone treats you, or how you treat someone is an indication, a reflection on what you're going through in life, not just what you're going through in life, but how you feel about yourself, about what you're going through in life, what you see, your reflection, the things that you interject on yourself. You put that back off on others. And so that's where the harsh tongue, the jealousy, the confusion, the insecurities, all those things are usually, they're things that we're harboring within. And we put that back on someone who is vulnerable to have to take our mess, right? We must first remind ourselves of these things in order to share the same with the world, with our families, with our spouses, with our loved ones, with co-workers, and even with strangers. If you are not loving to yourself, if you're not remembering who you are, if you're not identifying the Christ in you and remembering your likeness, that we were made in His image and we were made and He saw that it was good, we are still those same people. We are still those, but nothing about us has changed. Nothing that God created has changed. Our Creator made us good. He made us holy. He made us pure. Nothing about that has changed. And we have to remind ourselves of that as we walk through this thing in life. Doesn't mean that we're perfect. It does not mean that we won't mess up. It does not mean that we won't offend. It does not mean we won't have failures. But we have to learn how not to internalize that where it alters our identity of how we view ourselves. We have to remember who we are to treat ourselves good. When you treat yourself good, you treat your brothers, your sisters, your loved ones, your family, strangers, you treat everyone else around you that you interact with better. And in this lesson, as I got to this part, I was like, okay, it's like starting at the bottom and going back up, because to me, this is like the foundation of this lesson. Knowing who you are, you're going to treat yourself better, and knowing whose you are, and acknowledging your creator, and acknowledging your holiness, your righteousness, and knowing that God doesn't make any mistakes, and when you recognize that, you treat yourself better. So your words will be better to your brothers and sisters. Going back up through this chapter, your words will be better. Your interactions will be better. Things you share on social media won't be harsh or harmful to others. Getting back to that, it amazes me how people treat, let's say, just say celebrities. I know I'm getting relaxed with my message, but just say celebrities, right? We get on social media and we will dog somebody out, thinking that we aren't harming them because it's not someone we know. We will say things about a person that doesn't even know us. We will just go left on social media, right? We will say things that we would not say to their faces. I've done it before, but I've recognized myself previously, and I stopped doing that. Even if it's a politician, even we get real relaxed. We get real relaxed just because we think it's not hurting a person, but we're putting this energy out there, and we're feeding a different kind of force. We're feeding a evilness. We're feeding the energy that's not holy when we do that. And people jump on board and they keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. And going back through this message, so we, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, remember who you are, be forgiving, being loving to yourselves. When you're those things to yourself, you're going to be those things to your sisters and your brothers, your loved ones, your spouse, your family, your friends, your associates, your co-workers, strangers. Your words will be kinder. You will speak softer. You will speak lovingly. You will be thoughtful in your approach with someone when you have to have that serious talk, when you have to have that uncomfortable conversation. It doesn't have to, it may be uncomfortable, it may seem uncomfortable, but it does not have to be ugly. It does not have to be ugly. God made us better than that. We have more power to work through those uncomfortable situations and still be loving because of how we were created, right? We have that power within us. We just have to remind ourselves of who we are, and we have to execute it, and we have to walk in it. And when you come across to someone that way, some people, just very few, but most cases, they're going to receive it different, and they're going to respond in a softer way, even if they may have been the person in the fence, or, they may feel strong about their position, but the engagement will just be softer and kinder and more loving. And usually you get to the bottom of it, and you feel so much better when you have those situations, when you have those encounters, when you handle it with maturity, when you handle it with true living wisdom, the wisdom of God, the wisdom that he put inside of you. And when you teach, you are in a better position. You're even in a better position when you teach, when you are one. It's hard to teach when you are a hot mess within yourself, within how you feel about yourself, or your outlook about your situation, or your level of faith. If you think things are going to turn itself around, you can't be in a spiritual mess. Not saying a spiritual warfare. We go through some of those things. That's different. But we can't be in an identity crisis and trying to teach. Now that's maybe when we may need to step back and work on ourselves, and have more one-on-ones with God. But when we're teaching, we're in a much better position when we first start with us and through our walk and how we teach others, our words. We know there are power in our words, and we have to be intentional in using kinder words and being loving through our actions. When it's in our heart, it comes out in our words. It comes out in our words, our actions, our posts, all those things. And so you're in a better position. Getting back to the beginning of this chapter, we're in a better position to be teachers, ministers, educators, life coaches. You have to do the work to be effective. And even still, you will still mess up, but you will find more grace even in our faults. You will find more grace as you encounter with those who have more grace for themselves. So what we put off, we affect those around us positively or in a negative way, right? And so when it goes to show, getting back to being a teacher, if you have done the work with you, or if you continue, is continual work, excuse me, if you continually do the work within you and you're able to look at yourself in your spiritual eye and call yourself out for the things that you know that can be done better, that's going to bring glory to God, and that's going to magnify the holiness that He's placed inside of you, and the holiness and who He is. When you teach, you find more grace even when you stumble, even when you mess up, even when those signs of imperfections are revealed. You will have more grace and understanding from your brothers and your sisters, because it's a wonderful grace to accept and receive each other, that we're not perfect, but we are made holy. We are made in His image. We are made in His likeness. Because we are in this world, we're going to have some screw ups. Not of this world, but we're in this world, and we are dealt with a lot of different forces. We are. It affects us all. It affects us all, even those who hide it well. It's affecting them behind closed doors. It's affecting them in their mind. It's affecting them in their actions and the things that they are not willing to share. But it's affecting everybody. So I just I hope this word really blessed everyone. That's right, Miss Linda. We must respect ourselves, and walking upright with Jesus helps to receive the wisdom that He wants to reflect. Jesus showed us. He showed us and how to walk and how to live and how to treat everyone. And we honor God when we walk in our identity. And He spoke of His identity, and He wanted us to know who we are as well. That's our brother. And when we do that, everything recovers, it heals, the truth heals. We recover from mistakes and hiccups faster, where God could be glorified, and where the negative parts and the mistakes in our lives aren't magnified, and we move on with life, and we continue to do the will of God. So once again, my name is Jocelyn Charles. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm so very glad that you tuned in tonight. Please go ahead and share if you haven't shared this. Give me some hearts. I appreciate the interaction. Hello, Sister Shaquana. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm glad you enjoyed the word. And I'm going to sign out, you guys. You guys be blessed. Have a good night.